This is the new MG5 and it's nothing at all like an old MG sports car because they look great but they're actually slow, pretty rubbish to drive and very unreliable. This is the opposite. This doesn't look great. Yeah, it's quick, it's actually good to drive and it's very reliable. Now in this video I'm going to talk you around the exterior, the interior, show you how practical it is, take it for a drive, and of course I'm going to launch it to see how quick it is from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Now if you like these kind of reviews, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon, that way you won't miss any videos. Anyhow, I'm Matt Watson and you're watching CarWow. Buy, sell, CarWow. The MG5 starts from £29,500, though you can save an average of around £2,800 off one through CarWow. Now that saving does include a £1,500 government grant because this is an EV and the price is under £32,000, so you get that money off. Now, this car comes with a front-mounted electric motor, puts out 156 horsepower. The battery is a 61 kilowatt hour pack, which MG says is good enough for a range of 250 miles, but we'll find out about that in a bit when I do a range test with it. Now, if you're thinking about buying one of these, or any new car for that matter, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below to go to CarWow. You can also sell your old car through us as well, and our dealers will bid on your car to make sure you get a great price for it. If you want to do that at a later date, simply Google "Wow Me CarWow" and we will wow you. We need to talk about the design of the MG5 because for me it's the worst thing about it and it could put you off entirely. This nose looks like a copy of a 10-year-old Volkswagen Passat. In fact, the 10-year-old car theme continues down the side. It's sort of like an old Hyundai i40. Wheel sizes start at 16s and remain at 16 inches, no other choices. Look how it's sort of jacked up as well, can you see? See the wheel arch gap, and yes, you get roof bars on the top level car. There are only two levels, Excite and Exclusive, but it doesn't feel so exclusive. Yes, there's chrome here, there and everywhere, but I wish they tried harder with the design. I'm really disappointed. Here on the inside, the MG5 is in no way, shape or form exciting, but it's perfectly acceptable. And quality is okay as well. So you've got like this leatherette on the dash here with the stitching, this patney trim. On the top of the dash, yes, it's scratchy plastics and up on here, but down here it gets a bit softer. Yeah, it's okay. And the top of the range exclusive model has this leatherette in the seats, which does a good job of impersonating leather. It's real leather for the steering wheel, which is good unless you're a vegan and then you don't want to hold dead animal skin, do you? Oh well, you can't get a vegan steering wheel. One thing you can't get either is fully digital dials. I don't know why they did this. So you've got a big screen and they should have gone the whole hog and made the speedo digital. Why bother with that? And why bother with that analog dial for the charge meter? It's a stupid design. And that brings us on to the infotainment system itself. So it's a little bit of a fiddle to use and it's slow responding, but it doesn't matter because it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and you're just going to plug those in. And you have decent connectivity. So down here, you've got your two USB charging ports there, and I like this, look. So you plug your phone in like that. And then there's that slot that's perfect for it, so it's out the way. There's another little storage area here where you can keep your power bank, which is handy if, like me, you're always running out of charge. So you've got a couple of cup holders there. That one's deeper, and that one's shallower for coffees, which is a good idea. The glove box, that's big. Door bins, big. Space under here, average. But what's not average are the buttons in here. You got nice metal filled buttons, and I like the fact that you don't have a gear selector knob. You have a dial. I much prefer a dial than a knob, and everything is just really easy to access. Your climate control buttons are here separate from the infotainment screen. Easy to use, relatively comfortable, apart from one thing which is really annoying about this car. Because the batteries are underneath the floor, there's not much of a footwell. Have a look down here. You can see there's hardly any step between the sill and this floor mat. As a result, it means that your knees are quite high up. In fact, you feel a little bit like you're in a sports car with your legs stretched out in front of you, but that's the wrong seating position for a car such as this. Here in the back of the MG5, knee room is good, headroom is good. What is not so good is the fact that there is hardly any sunken footwell. Because of that flat floor and the batteries underneath, it's raised quite high, which means that you can't put your feet under the driver's seat. You can beg them to raise their seats up and then you will just squeeze maybe your toes underneath, but you shouldn't be asking the driver to compromise their ideal driving position. And anyway, look how high my knees are, so I'm in a bit of a stress position, it's not ideal. It's a real shame because the rest of the back of this car is actually pretty good. You've got a big, deep seat, which is comfy and soft. The centre seat is actually comfy as well. You have an armrest with some cup holders you can use. Yes, it'd be perfect if they were covered, but you know, that's still all right. You've got some pockets here, decent door bins, 2 USB ports. The windows go all the way down in the back, and fitting a baby seat in this car is easy because the doors are nice and wide. Yes, you do have to stab around to find the Isofix anchor points, but once you've got them, it's easy to lock the seat into place, and there's plenty of room to fit even a bulky rear-facing seat. Yeah, it's just a shame about this footwells. Now, if that's a problem, maybe you should pay a bit extra and buy a Skoda Kodiaq instead. And if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or follow the link in the description below. The boot capacity of the MG5 is 580 litres, which is really very big. I mean, look at the space you got there. Okay, so there is a bit of a boot lip to lift things over, but you can reduce it slightly by raising the false floor. It's a bit of a lip, but it's not so bad. Now, you can fold down the rear seats, of course, to carry larger items. They'll fold down a bit better than that if I remove the headrest, but they never go completely flat, which makes it a bit harder to move items. Probably shouldn't leave that there if you want to do that. So items right to the front, and then they do slide down. Another thing that's a bit of a shame is there's no 12-volt socket in the bit here. And that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the MG5. I always expect electric cars to have a front boot, and underneath the bonnet on this MG you have a large plastic area. Actually, I could probably store those there. I don't know why there is no light for the vanity mirror. What happens if I want to check myself out when it's dark, huh? When you're driving at low speeds, electric cars emit a noise to warn pedestrians of their approach. Now, the one on this car, you'll hear it when I just move along. However, the noise is quite prominent on the inside. So when I put my window up, you'll still hear it through my mic. Why do I need to hear the acoustic warning sound so loud inside the cabin? It is not for me. The central armrest doesn't extend forwards, which is a bit annoying because, look, you can't have your hand on the steering wheel and rest your arm there. So you have to drive sort of like one-handed or like that. The charging port is here on the front of the car, which seems like a good idea. However, there are 2 problems with that. The first is that it means that you always have to nose in to a charging parking bay. The second is what happens if you have a minor prang at the front here. It could damage that, which means that even though your car is perfectly drivable, you can't actually charge it. Anyway, that brings on to 5 cool things about this MG. I don't know why European cars have to have a real slow to use ratchet to adjust the backrest in the front seats. This is a much better option. Look, for a lever and you get it exactly where you want it. Take a quick nap now. I'm always happy when there's space underneath the false floor, not only for your charging cables, which are in that bag, but of course for the load cover, and it's quite light and easy to fit. Epic fail. Not only do all versions of this car come with adaptive cruise control, so it uses a radar to keep you a safe distance from the car in front, and it'll automatically steer to keep you in lane. But when you're just driving normally, you don't have that engaged, obviously you will have normal lane departure warning. However, you can turn it off dead easy just by pressing this button here. So if you're on a twisty country road and it's doing your head in because you're crossing the lines occasionally, press that, no faffing about, and it's off. 7-year warranty. Never said that for any other manufacturer besides Kia, but yeah, MG as well now. There's a function in the infotainment system which allows you to automatically turn on the rear heated screen. So it's handy in the winter, you set that on, and whenever you get into the car, it'll automatically demist the back, so you don't have to think, oh God, I forgot to do that, and then you press it, and you're just stuck waiting for it to defrost longer than you need it to be. Okay, let's see what this MG is like to drive in town. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not expecting much from this car, because it's, you know, so competitively priced, but actually, first thing that stands out is the suspension. It's really, really good over rough surfaces and bumps. It's compliant, it's steady. It's actually putting more expensive cars to shame in the way this goes down the road. I'm mightily impressed. Another thing I'm impressed with is the brakes. So sometimes the electric cars, they can feel a bit grabby because of the regen effect, but not in this. It's perfectly natural. Now I'm going to check out the turning circle. It's 11.4 meters, which it's all right, but it's not as good as some other electric cars. I mean, I've made it around there okay, but if it was tighter, I could have struggled. So if I put it into perspective, a VW ID3's, oh sorry mate, VW ID3's turning circle is just over 10 meters, so it's much tighter. And if you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there. I'll follow the link in the description below. But really, that is my only complaint about the driving experience in town. Oh, there is another one. So I can alter the regen effect. So I've got it on 3. They call it KERS, like in Formula 1. But it doesn't bring the car to a complete stop. Look, can you see? So it's not full one pedal driving. At some point you do have to touch the brakes. I'm touching them now. There we go. Why didn't they just let you do that? You know, it should be switchable. You can have it on or off, but you should be able to decide. I do like one pedal driving where it's available. Now, final thing to do is see how easy this thing is to park. So it is quite long, this car, so I'm going to see if I can fit in that gap. Now, before you start commenting, yes, I know it is a disabled bay, but I'm not going to leave the car there. I'm just using it for illustrative purposes. Illustrative. Hopefully my parking is better than my talking. So the camera's quite useful here, though it is a pretty cheap looking image. You know, it's a bit washed out and low def. Come on in. Now I'm going to use the door. Don't like having the door mirror there, it should be on the actual door itself. Right, squeeze in without crashing into this Audi. Get as close as I can. Probably room for a Rizzle paper there, but there we go, in the spot, not too far away from the curb, job done. Visibility is generally pretty good in this car. The back window is a bit narrow, but there's no blind spots, there's no thick rear pillar, there's an extra little window at the very back, which is really handy. It gives you good all-round visibility. Yeah, this is nice to drive in town. Now I'm going to see what this MG is like to drive when you're on the motorway or on a dual carriageway and faster roads. So here's the acceleration from 50 to 70. Look at that. It's got some punch, this has. It really has. It's made me talk all Midlandy. Blooming heck, it's got some punch. You can overtake slow moving traffic with this car, no problem at all. And when you're cruising at higher speeds, the car does a good job of like dealing with undulations in the road. Yet again, the suspension, I'm impressed with it. One thing that's not quite so good as some other electric cars is the sound insulation. So you do get a bit of wind noise from just this pillar here and the big door mirrors. It's not bad though, it's just not the quietest car in its class. What is impressive though is the economy, or should that be efficiency, because it's electric of course. So I've been averaging 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour in this MG, and when you do the maths, that means that on a full charge, this car in the real world will do about 220 miles. It's alright. Now let's see what the MG is like on a twisty road. So that soft suspension, there's got to be a trade-off for it, hasn't there? It's going to mean it handles like a dog. So I'm going to put the car into sport mode. And that's added some weight to the steering, though. Yeah, it makes it feel, oh, collision warning detection. Anyway, that wasn't anything to do with sports mode. It doesn't feel that nice as steering in sports mode. It feels more natural in normal mode, so I'll stick with that. And that's one thing I noticed about this car. Just then, when I was accelerating, and it was a bit damp, and I was coming out of a corner. What? Did you hear that as well? What it is, because that motor's so punchy, it's front wheel drive, it does quite easily spin up one of its front wheels when you're turning and accelerating. It's not a problem because the stability control just cuts the power. It's fine, it manages it, but it just shows that you're losing grip. But otherwise, this thing holds onto the road really quite well. It doesn't lean too much in the bends. You don't feel like you've got a lack of confidence in the car. It does the job. I think it's a really good all-round drive, this. I am surprised with how good they've made it. MG says that this car can do 0 to 60 in 7.3 seconds, which is way quicker than any other old, supposedly sporty MG sports car from the past. But what will it really do? I've got my specialist timing gear here. I'm going to launch it in sports mode. Oh, there's that wheel spin again. Just a little bit. What are we going to do? 0 to 60 is 8 seconds. I'm going to try that again. Let's see if I can do better this time. Better. Oh yeah, come on now. Come on MG. Yeah, 7.43. 0.1 of a second slower than they say. I'll take that. Final thing to do, brake test from 60 miles an hour. See how long it takes this car to stop. So it took 35 meters. And now, slightly delayed, it puts on the hazard warning lights. Not great. So then, what's my final verdict on the MG5? Should you avoid it? Should you consider it? Should you shortlist it? Or should you just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I think that if you don't like the look of it, you know, you want something with a bit more style, just avoid it. Yeah. However, if you want a really good value, good to drive, practical, inexpensive EV that's good for A to B and beyond, you should go right ahead and buy this MG5. It will surprise you, just like it has me. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. If you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any videos. Click on those windows there for some more videos right now, and on that box there to go to CarWow. If you're thinking about changing your car, you can not only buy a car through CarWow, but also sell your current car, and our dealers will bid on it to make sure you get a great price.